So this will be the same as 12, which you just did. The only difference is you're going to have variables on both sides, which doesn't really change what the steps are, right? So it's just that you might have to simplify on the left like you guys did on number 12, but then also simplify on the right. So it's not anything new, there's just more of it. So these problems might look more difficult, but really you don't need, more knowledge on how to solve them. You just do the same thing you already know more often, more frequently. So of course, if you don't have anything to combine it with, you just bring it down. So bring down the minus 13, bring down the equals n, and then simplify 4 minus 8. And that's the first step. Just to make sure you only have a variable and a number, or just a variable or just a number. So you should only have 2 at the most. You should only have 1 or 2 things on the left or right side, never more than 2. And other times, like on number 3, like -5 plus 5, that just equals 0, so there won't be anything. And that makes the problem a little bit easier when that happens. Got it. Those two combined to be -11. We have 2x minus 4x, -2x. And you can see what you're left with is just a two-step equation, which is what you did last week. So everything about what we're doing is get it to be a review problem. Do things to both sides so it turns into some problem you already know how to solve. You took the quiz on it already, which I'll hand back today, and a lot of people did really good on it too. Okay? So, but again, don't be intimidated that they're much bigger. It's not more difficult. It's just more of the same thing. Okay? So if you know it really well, then you don't really find yourself thinking it's harder. So we have, and sometimes like this one, there's nothing to simplify on the side. There's only one variable, one number. We can't do anything. And then on the right side, we just have to simplify. So that's always the first step, is simplify a single side. You did the whole Khan Academy just on that alone, simplifying a single side. Okay. Now, when you get down here, number 7, we're going to simplify each side, but then we're going to do the next step as well. So this will be the same. And whenever you find yourself doing a lot of repetition in math, that usually means you're doing it correctly. Right? So once you get really good at it, you see that, well, this is really the same problem as the last one. It's just the numbers are different. But basically, algebraically, you're still just doing the same thing. There are sometimes it's different, like this one and the one up above, where there's no variable because it equals 0. But more or less, it's the same thing. Okay. So number 9 is where it really changes, because we do end up with a variable on both sides, and that's the whole name of the lesson, the worksheet. So we got 5b minus 7b, and here, and then on this side we have -7b plus 4. And of course, everything in black is what stayed the same. Anything in color is what we combine. So here is the actual new step of the day. Everything else is review. The first step was review you just did. After this step, it's going to be review solving it. What we're going to do is just take the variable, if there is a variable on the right, and just cancel it out. So if I have a -3b, I'm going to add 3b to both sides. And of course, if I add it on the right side, I have to add it to the variable on the left side. And that's the only thing that's new today. If there's a variable on the right, you're going to add and subtract it. So it cancels out. And we have 3b minus 2b, which is 1b. And everything else stays the same. You'll find out that most of the writing you're doing is just copying down something above that you didn't do anything to. So very little of it. You see the colors, that's what we actually changed. We had to do 5 minus 7. We had to do -7 plus 4. And then we had to do 3 minus 2. And that's it. And from there, you guys know how to solve it. You'd add 7 to both sides. You'd have b equals 6. And you could do a check and everything. Although you don't have to do that in this problem. So I just want you to stop when you have an equation that only has one variable as opposed to a variable on both sides. So just going from variable on both sides to a variable on one side, basically. Now do one more. We can move on. This one is already simplified. Sometimes you get lucky and you don't have anything to simplify. There's already a variable and a number on each side. Remember, you can only have at most two terms, one variable, one number. So again, take the variable on the right, cancel it out, so it's a -2, so we got to add this time. And then add it to the left variable. So you always add the variables of variables. In case you're wondering, how do I know to put it underneath the 3 and not the 8? Because it's a variable. So we have, most of this just stays the same. The -8, didn't do anything to that. Equals bring down the -2, that equals 0. And we just have to do -3 plus 2 to get -8. And now it's a two-step equation that was on your quiz from last week. So very quickly, just by doing this one new step, it turns into a review problem. And you'll find that I mentioned that before, that it's going to feel like a lot of review. You'll do one little new step and then 5 steps of review. If you get that feeling, it's like a very repetitious and very probably easy the more you do it, then that's a good thing. All right, let's see here. So again, put that off to the side, finish 12 first, and then you can start this in class or for homework.